Brett, let's get into our NBA bets per se. And we have our Monday and Tuesday lines out already. And you and I each like games on different days.
Yeah, I'm big into the Tuesday slate, Higgins, but you have a few picks from Memorial Day on Monday, so let's get to those first.
Yeah, we have the Philadelphia 76ers at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then we have a West Coast game, the Jazz versus the Grizzlies, and that's a 9:30 East Coast tip, 6:30 West Coast tip. I have a pick in each of those games, Brett. Let's talk about the 76ers Wizards first. The Sixers are up 3-0 in this series, and I think it's just pack it up and go home time. Philly has covered two of these three games so far. I think they're going to cover this -8 once again, and they're going to get that rest they need going into the next series.
I really like that play, Higgins. I stayed away from it just out of respect for you. You had it first, so I stayed away. But yeah, I think this series is probably over. I think Washington will be a team that can improve on their record and their regular season a year ago. I don't necessarily think they're a title contending team. I think they're a tough out with two true impact players in Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. They'll be healthier next year. Thomas Bryant will come back. Rui Hachimura in year three. Avija will be back as well. So Wizards are building, which is kind of crazy to say with a 30-plus-year-old point guard, but they're building. They're moving in the right direction. But I think Philadelphia is one of the two best teams in the East. So I like even the 8 point Higgins. That doesn't scare me. I like the bet.
I agree. I think Washington's building something. Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal together brought a lot of hope, I think. But in year one, this is about as far as they're going to get is swept by the 76ers, the number one overall seed. The other game is the Jazz Grizzlies, Brett, and this to me has been a much more interesting series. Ja Morant has really had to step up as the point scorer for Memphis in this series, and so far he really has. I think he's going to need to do this again at home. Now, Memphis did steal game one, but they lost game three in Memphis. They need to grab one of these wins before they head back to Utah again. So I think Memphis money line at plus 175 is some great value, even though we saw just how much tougher this Jazz team really is with Donovan Mitchell on the floor, which he was out in game one and he was back for game two and three, which Utah did win.
Yeah, and they've got good players all up and down the roster in Utah. So Donovan Mitchell, to your point, Higgins has been the difference because he was missing in game one and he was there for two and three when Utah was able to get those wins. But I'm not comfortable enough backing the Jazz. I'm also not comfortable enough backing the Grizzlies because they haven't done it while Mitchell's been on the court. So this is like a total no bet for me. This whole series, I've enjoyed watching it as a fan. I like the high athleticism of the guard play, and I think it's an exciting series. Some bigs who can block shots and rebound. So it's been fun to watch, but this has been a no bet series for me. I've just been enjoying it from a fan perspective, Higgins.
It's an exhilarating series, Brett, and I think it's something that could potentially go seven if Memphis could steal this game in game four. I'm going to give Ja Morant the benefit of the doubt because the man's a competitor. He can go and put up 40 if his team needs him to. He already did that once in this series. They're probably going to need him to do that again, though, to get the win because Valanciunas gets contained pretty well by Rudy Gobert. Valanciunas, if he can contain Rudy Gobert, though, in any of these games, that'll be a big difference maker as well. But anyways, let's go on to Tuesday where you have a couple picks, Brett.
Yeah, let's do it, Higgins. The Blazers take on the Nuggets. I've been rolling with the Blazers all series. That will continue as they continue to be dogs in a 2-2 series. I think the Blazers are the healthier team, so I think they're the better team, Higgins. Jokic, obviously the MVP for a reason. Not taking anything away from him, but these are not the full strength Nuggets. These are not the Nuggets that earn that high seed. This is a lesser version of that team with Capazzo and Marcus Howard out there playing a bulk of the minutes. So it's just tough for me to back Denver. I like what Denver is doing generally speaking. I think they have a lot of pieces that I like overall. Just this isn't their year, Higgins. They're just a little beat up injury wise. So Portland plus 100. I'll continue to take Portland until they have a minus next to their number.
This is another series that I could see going to game seven, Brett. I mean, the spread has stayed at Nuggets minus 1.5, Portland plus 1.5, regardless of location, really. That's just what the spread continues to stay at. And it's been a great game each time. I've been on the Nuggets each game so far. I think I'm going to take this one off, at least for this podcast. Maybe if both of my Monday NBA plays hit, though, I might find myself on this game, Brett. But there's actually three Tuesday games because we have the Trailblazers and Nuggets. We also have the Nets and the Celtics, but then we also have the Lakers and Suns. You had a few more lines than I did, though, because I only had the Trailblazers Nuggets over here in Oregon, and I decided to stay away from now, but you had another line.
Yeah, I got an early line out for Lakers Suns. We don't know Anthony Davis' status for Tuesday's game as we're recording this, Higgins. He's listed as questionable with a groin injury. He left on Sunday early. But I'm taking the Lakers plus 4.5 points here, Higgins. I think the Lakers, with the Chris Paul injury to the Suns, are the better team. If Chris Paul's healthy, I think this is a different series. Chris Paul looked great in game four, to be fair to him. He looked much better, but he's going to need shoulder surgery this offseason, Higgins. I know it's coming. That's just tough to play through for anyone, let alone the guard that takes up such a big part of your cap, such a big minutes player for you, a leader for your team. It's a guy who's getting you into your offense, initiating the pick and rolls. Like, this is a guy that does it all, and he is playing at probably 50% health, Higgins. So I'm going to ride the Lakers in this series. I think the Chris Paul injury is just too much for the Suns to overcome for the series. So I've been backing the Lakers. Has been a little bit profitable, I would say, Higgins. Just because the two games they won, I was able to get them at fairly decent prices on the live number. But it's been tough. The Lakers have not given you many reasons to be like, oh yeah, let me back this team pregame because they've lost two of these games pretty handedly to Phoenix.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not entirely on the ship of the Lakers being this Western Conference favorite that everyone seems to have them at right now because of the injuries that they just continually keep getting saddled with this season. AD on Sunday was just the latest of these injuries. LeBron was able to take over and score 25 points, lead the Lakers in this loss. But in game five, there's been a lot of talk, at least on the social media I've already seen, about having AD sit and just let LeBron take over. Do people already forget that LeBron has an ankle injury himself that he's working through, and this isn't LeBron of 10 years ago that we're talking about? Yes, he can still do it, but at what toll? Then you look at the Suns, who you mentioned, Chris Paul had a fantastic game four, and yes, he did. He led the team with 18 points, but he led with just 18 points. There were six players with double digits. Two players had 17 points right behind him. A bench player had 13. Like, it was a much more team win for Phoenix. So I'm not giving up on a team that can back up their injured leader like that. I haven't seen the Lakers be able to back up their injured duo of LeBron and AD necessarily. Andre Drummond, though, and DeAndre Ayton are having an absolute battle for rebounds, and that's been fun to watch for me.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun series, Higgins. I wish these teams were healthy. Unfortunately, they're not. But that plays into the handicapping a little bit here. And yeah, I mean, honestly, you're right. LeBron, 36 years old, 37 years old. He's not the spry young fellow he was a few years ago. But for my money, Higgins, I'm not betting against him in the postseason. Not yet.
He is still the best player on the court. That's true. That's true.